Good morning everybody, today it's Popsy's turn and he's going to read another of Nanny Joe's stories.
This story is called Flying Nanny, Nanny being my mum. My very dear and darling Mark, I shall now tell you the story of the Flying Nanny, which to be precise is myself, your own Nanny Anderson. I happened to be visiting Great Grandad in Eastbourne and had gone for a walk on this powerfully windy day across the downs to Beachy Head, which is a famous lighthouse sitting in the sea below the towering chalk cliffs called the Seven Sisters. Because, my dear Dimple, there are 7 of them. Well, the wind got stronger and stronger until its muscles were bulging and it just had to make some mischief. For a while, it tossed up the sea into giant spouts and tried to drown a big tanker which was wallowing around in the tremendous waves, but it couldn't. Then it tried to capsize a yacht, but the yachtman just made it into the harbour. Then it was Nanny, right on the edge of the cliff, marvelling at the immense waves. She was standing on Doreen. So with a howl of triumph, the wind roared around the back of her and puffed out its cheeks to the size of the Winchester Cathedral and let fly a torrent of air at Nanny's unsuspecting back. Over the cliff she went like a stone, down and down and down to meet the fishes. Now, it's not a nice thing to happen to anybody on a Wednesday afternoon, especially if you haven't got any fins or a tail. Just one thing saved her from disaster: Great Grandad's umbrella, which in bad weather he had used as a third leg on a stick. The sky had looked overcast and Nanny had borrowed Great Grandad's umbrella. So just in the nick of time, she opened the umbrella and it immediately filled with a wind-like parachute and she started to float down gently, or at least not quite so fast at 100 miles an hour as she was before. But at least one cheeky seagull asked her if she wanted lessons in flying, and a particularly obnoxious fish licked his lips at the prospect of Nanny and the brine for supper. But just as Nanny decided she was going to get very wet and wished she'd said goodbye to all her friends and relatives, especially Mark, Dimple, the wind, suddenly grew tired of this game, emptied its cheeks of air and shrank to the size of a peanut. So the sea grew calm and Nanny mercifully landed, very surprised, in a fishing boat next to an even more surprised fisherman, who said sternly to her, "Madam, people who fall from the sky have to pay the same fare as honest people who embark from the shore. That will be £3 and 3.5 pence. Fishing is included." So Nanny thought she'd make the best of it and put out a line. Sure enough, she caught something. A sniffle. Not quite a cold, but a definite sniffle. Oh yes, and a fine big mackerel for tea. So it wasn't such a bad adventure after all, was it? My love to all, especially to you, my darling Mark.
Good night everybody.
Good night.